Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm Danielle Moodie. It has been a hell of a goddamn week in this country. Globally, everything is cracking. With my co-pilot, Wajahat Ali. Waj, this has been, in all honesty, and I know that we say this at the end of each week, and I'm always so grateful that I get to shut down the week with you. But this has been exhausting,
But
depressing, and tragic, just rolled into one disgusting ball. And I just finished listening to Pete Hegseth do his best grandstanding and saying how excited he is for CNN to be taken over by Keith Ellison. So not Keith Ellison, taken
that'd be
over.
amazing if Keith Ellison took
Right, it
over.
would be amazing. Taken over by David Ellison, um, so that we can get to patriotic news coverage. That's what
Wow.
Pete
Yeah,
Hegseth said.
or propaganda.
Oh, well, whatever. They both begin with P, so that's what he said. He said literally the quiet part out loud, which is why you and I are on independent media. He literally said he was giving the reporters headlines that they should be using as opposed to the ones that they were using. I don't ever remember a Secretary of Defense being as wrapped up in media coverage than Pete Hegseth, but he wanted to tell them that he once did their job, and this is what he would suggest, and he can't wait for the Ellisons to take over so that we can get back to patriotic coverage. I just want to get your thoughts because I legit just heard that before we hit live.
Yeah, the quiet part out loud. The supervillains are literally telling us the supervillain plot. It's the Bond villain going up to James Bond in the first 10 minutes of the movie before the credit sequence saying, excuse me, are you James Bond? Yeah, I'm the supervillain. Do you want to sit down and watch my slideshow? Sit, please. And then the rest, and then James Bond, in this version of the movie is not like a super suave, intelligent spy. He's a moron. Much like our corporate institutions are like, are you really fascist? Is this really your plan? He goes, yes, Mr. Bond, this is my plan. Really? Do you really want to take over the world? I don't know. Let's go blame Zoran Mamdani. He goes, okay, you're a moron. Let's go blame Zoran Mamdani. Like this is what we're dealing with, right? We're dealing with corporate media, billionaires, even some Democrats bending the knee as literally they're telling you their supervillain plot. They're literally telling you that they want to take over. They're literally telling you that they're white Christian nationalists. They're literally telling you that this is a crusade. They're literally telling you that they believe that Jews need to control Jerusalem for the second coming of Jesus, and they believe that Jesus will come and kill all the non-Christians. They're literally calling it a crusade. That's what Lindsey Graham did. And we're sitting here saying, but I wonder if they're really extreme. You have Larry Ellison's Nepo baby son, David Ellison, Danielle, like a couple of months ago, openly say to a reporter, yeah, I had a conversation with Donald Trump. He's very displeased with CNN. We're going to look into that. We're going to look into changing it up. And now you got Pete Hegseth saying, I want you to run with these headlines. Isn't it awesome? We're going to have patriotic propaganda. And then what we also did, just what was it, this week? I forget, Danielle. Earlier this week, Donald Trump appeared at the ceremony where they brought in the four caskets of the soldiers. By the way, those numbers
That
have
was
increased.
this week. That
Yeah,
was this
those
week.
numbers have increased because another helicopter went down. 6 people at least have died. Donald Trump wore a hat, which was seen as disrespect. So what did Fox do without informing their viewers? They ran an earlier clip from another time just to hide the fact that Donald Trump was wearing a hat, and they didn't disclose it to their viewers. So we're literally going to get, Danielle, Russia and North Korea style propaganda, not just from Fox and Newsmax now, but also from CNN. And also we've seen ABC bent the knee, and CBS is pretty much just the free press doing what? Their entire job at the CBS now is to defend Israel and billionaires. What am I missing?
You're not missing anything. And I woke up this morning, and before we even get into the headlines, and this is how the show ends up being an hour and a half, but I have to give these thoughts. I woke up this morning and I said to my girlfriend, I said, I think I'm becoming even more radicalized. And she's like, yeah, me too. And I said, because earlier this week, on top of Donald Trump wearing a USA baseball hat, the most disrespectful thing that you could do at the dignified transfer that happens to commemorate the loss of our soldiers, you had Kash Patel's FBI lie to the American public and say that Iran may strike California, and then walk back those claims.
Well, what didn't Washington? We talked about it, right? Washington
No.
Post even reported it.
Yeah. And then you looked in the comments, and this is how I know that this administration has jumped the shark in so many ways, because you look at the social media around that statement, and people who don't have our jobs, are not political analysts, or not, journalists or anything, all in the comments were saying, so you're airing the fact that you're going to do a false flag. Like, because California, of all places, you think Iran has its eyes on. Also, they don't have the technology to have drone strikes come from 7,000 miles away. And also, wasn't California the first stop on Donald Trump's retribution tour when he got into office last year? So it was just, I mean, these were the comments coming at the bottom of the news story. And then they have since backed away from that claim. And so I look at these things, and I am stunned by the fact that this week also, Waj, we get confirmation that the United States did a double tap strike on an elementary school, killing nearly 200 people, over 175 girls, little girls. We get the confirmation of that in a hearing on this on Capitol Hill. Senator Gillibrand says that the strike was that the United States targeted the elementary school. The chairman of, I think it was either the Judiciary or the Senate Oversight, says, who's a Republican, says something to the effect of, I don't think you meant to say target. Let me help you walk that back. And she goes, sure, it was next to a military base, but how do you not use the word target if it was not the military base, which should have been struck, and it was an elementary school? But again, Waj, we're children killers, and that was not in the media.
Nope.
Nonstop this week and last week. And I'm saying to myself, we do remember when white nationalists bombed a church and killed 4 little black girls, right? That sparked the beginning of the civil rights movement. We killed 175 in Iran. And and we're supposed to believe here in America that they're the terror threat and not the United States and Israel. So these are my thoughts.
I mean, look, we put it in context, and I'm glad we put it in context, because that context is completely missing from corporate media. This is why I'm dressed up the way I am, because I was invited for the first time, I don't know, in years on MS Now, where I thought it'd be a one-on-one to talk about the rising Islamophobia. But they both sides, even my segment. No other segment was both sided, but my segment was both sided, where they brought in this bulwark piece of crap, David Ducker, who had to just slip in, well, both sides, anti-Semitism is rising on the left. And, there is a threat of Islamic extremism. We were talking about literally like Randy Fine calling for the mass execution of Muslims, right? Have you ever noticed that? It just always gets thrown in there for the last 20 years. Not all Muslims, but some Muslims, which is why we should have, I don't know, the Patriot Act and DHS and ICE and yada, 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 right? So you see them not connecting the dots, and I had to connect the dots. I'm saying, thousands of people have been killed in Lebanon right now. There's thousands of civilians who've been killed in Tehran. There's a genocide in Gaza right now. as this is happening, Danielle, what did we predict 2 weeks ago? Because we've been through this for the last 20 plus years. If you have Lindsey Graham calling this a crusade, if you have during Ramadan, literally Republicans praising the assassination of Ayatollah Khomeini, the supreme leader, if you have reports that there's some commanders apparently calling this a holy war and celebrating it, if you have Jewish leaders in Israel, part of the Jewish cabinet, openly using the words like Amalek and celebrating this, what's going to happen, Danielle? You're going to get blowback, right? But you have to give people context, right? So this is blowback. You give people context without in any way, shape, or form rationalizing or making excuses for, say, violence, such as the terrorist attack that happened yesterday at the synagogue, or what happened in Old Dominion, or the IEDs that were found at Gracie Mansion. But what else is going to happen if you're literally bombing people during Ramadan and you have some elected officials mocking and ridiculing Muslims, and you have Lindsey Graham having wargasms every night talking about this as a crusade? Danielle, are you surprised that now there are radicalized individuals, ISIS members, terrorist cells, and Iran is now striking at our allies? Folks, anyone, be honest with me. Are you surprised? I'm not surprised.
No, because I think that it's part, and this is the thing, which is where I'll say that I am radicalized. It is part of their strategy. It is part of the strategy to create as much chaos and terror as they can. They know that their heightened rhetoric, right? Their Islamophobia is just as American as apple pie, right? Change out Muslim for black, change out Muslim for trans, change out. It's the same narrative of the vermin, the unknown, the dangerous, the fearful. It's the same shit that they do. And so, of course, when you have Lindsey Graham calling this a religious war, when you have Pete Hegseth reciting from the Bible as
Yes, sir.
he is giving an interview, doing a presser on this war, as you see a now Sharia caucus, which we're going to get to in the House of Representatives, you see this build, and then you see things like this happened yesterday, right? Where a temple was attacked. Thankfully, all the children were safe, and the shooter and the driver of the car was killed. Right? That's not the only incident that happened. Then you had at Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia, another shooter, right? And this shooter, they're saying is Muslim, was stabbed to death by another cadet. Someone lost their lives, right? Was killed. So I it's like, but it's almost as if, and then this is Donald Trump. This is Donald Trump's reaction of, is there anything you can share about the Old Dominion shooting and the Michigan synagogue shooting? Trump, yes, tragic, walks off. So
I mean,
once again, these
I don't
people
laugh
are,
out of because it's funny, but it's kind of like it's dark gallows humor that you just have to laugh because here's their king and their daddy, their Christian savior, who couldn't even, they don't even, like, don't you miss the old Republicans? They used to at least perform. He's so lazy, he doesn't even perform. He's like not just drunken fat Elvis, he's drunken fat Elvis ODing on the toilet.
100%, because they don't need to perform, because fascism isn't about the performance. It's about taking off the mask. I can do whatever I want to do. What did Corey Lewandowski said? I can do whatever the fuck I want, right? Because they know that they got a pocket pardon that is waiting for them. So at the end of the day, you look at all of this, and again, all of these things, and there is so much more that we'll get to, folks, that happened this week alone. And the escalation that we knew was going to come, the blowback that we know is going to get worse. And in my mind, I said again this morning, I said, I really hope that these acts of terrorism that are happening are not happening at the hands of brown people, at the hands of Muslims. And I said, because what is about to happen is that they are going to call in ICE to round up the brown people, round up the Muslims. They're too dangerous. And this is where this shit is headed.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
again, it wouldn't be the first time in American history that this has happened. It would be another time in American history where this has happened.
Danielle, this is like I said this on MS Now, the artist formerly known as MSNBC, just like last hour. We've been through this for 2 decades. Like this is a reboot, folks, of the war on terror. Oh, we have to go after these Muslims. Let's do the Patriot Act. Oh, literally, the anti-Sharia bills of 2010 and 2012 have come back. As Danielle said, there's now an anti-Sharia caucus that we'll talk about. Folks, pause for a second. Where did that get us? Is the world safer? Did it destroy ISIS and Al Qaeda? Nope. It's their number one recruitment. See, they hate us. The West is at war with Islam. How is ICE doing for you guys right now? How's the Patriot Act? How is that Registry Act, right? How is it to give up your freedoms to be in perpetual war? How's Afghanistan doing? How's Iraq doing right now? How's Iran doing right now? Did it help? Is it helping right now in the past 2 weeks? More and more Americans are dying. More and more Americans are under threat. Now there's threats of terrorism. There's asymmetrical warfare. And this is where I think, Danielle, what is interesting, what I noticed is really interesting this past week, what's shifted and goes back to what you were saying about your girlfriend. It's really wild. People are like kind of done. But
Yep.
both in two ways. They're like, yeah, we're killing people in Gaza. We're killing people in Iran. This war sucks. Of course, this is going to happen. Not that anyone's justifying it, but then the average Joe also is like, they don't believe anything. I was kind of, they're like, this is a false flag. I'm like, no, I actually think there was an ISIS member. They're like, nah, false flag. So now you have right-wing people saying, false flag, sure, whatever. Because that's how much disgust and distaste they have with this nonstop warmongering and this utter lack of faith in both our government and our corporate media, which, by the way, Danielle, that's actually not good either, that people literally don't believe anything and are running rampant with conspiracy theories. But this type of Islamophobia, which unfortunately will result in people, and also the anti-Semitism, which will result in innocent people being killed, you're seeing the average person not be swayed by it as they were in 2010,
And
2015.
that's the thing that I am finding really interesting. Everyone's feeds, right? Like all of our algorithms are curated to the things that we like, and the content is curated into what it is that you want to see or what they want you to see. And I have to tell you that when I'm looking at reports that are coming out from The Guardian, BBC, Al Jazeera English, NBC News, other The Nation, etc., I go into the comments because I'm like, what are people saying about this war? What is their reaction to the headlines that are coming out? And I am shocked, Waj, shocked that there are so many people commenting about chickens coming home to roost for America and for Israel, that are rooting for Iran,
It's wild.
right? Don't
Wild.
open don't open the strait. Don't like send the globe into economic collapse and chaos, that are looking at and asking the questions as to why there is no coverage about the suburbs that the Israelis are bombing in Lebanon and killing thousands and thousands of people. Why is it not being covered? And I'm telling you, it's not just me. I'm looking at the comments and I'm saying, this is wildly different from Desert Storm. Again, we didn't have social media then, but when you think about the news coverage and what was being said, it is wildly different from 9/11, from all of these different
Yeah,
instances
it's wild.
where you just took what the government was saying, you took what media was reporting, and you said they deserve it. And now you're looking and folks are just like, you know what? Can you blame them? Like, I'm literally seeing
Yeah.
in comment, I don't know what to make of that, but I know that there is a major shift that has happened. And I think when I say that this administration, this regime has jumped the shark, this is what I'm saying. They're trying to run with these old scripts, and people are like, I've heard that song one too many fucking times. It doesn't hit anymore.
No, exactly on point. It's what I was going to say is that people have become radicalized in real time. And I think they've been radicalized in the past 2 years, specifically with Gaza. I think they've been radicalized with the failure on the war on terror. We already lost our appetite for this war on terror. I think they've seen this for the past 2 decades. I think they've seen that it has not led to any peace or security. I think they've realized, wait a second, this only helps the warmongers in the military industrial complex. Oh, they don't care about us. Literally, just listen to Lindsey Graham and Trump and all these Republicans go callously on air every single night and say, well, there will be casualties. And people are like, F you go fight, right? You're seeing a split within the Republican Party over this issue, about a third of the Republican Party, right? A majority of America. Danielle, when has war ever been unpopular from the get in America? Never. I remember when George W. Bush, who was an unpopular president, right? The 9/11 terrorist attack happens. He had 90% approval rating, right? The entire country rallied around the United States of America at that
Yep.
time. And then, well, some of us were smart and tried our best to warn, and we were called terrorists and terrorist sympathizers when we said the war on terror would be disastrous. But I digress. You still had 90% of support. He doesn't have that. He has the opposite. He has like a majority of Americans saying, yeah, we don't want to get involved in this. And furthermore, Danielle, I think they've been radicalized by Israel. They've been radicalized by Israel's genocide. I think they're sick and tired of America dying and fighting for Netanyahu and his band of extremists who are in power right now. I think they're seeing the images on their screen. I think people are, I am heartened by this, that usually when like this happens all the time, schools are bombed, meh, brown people. But there is something this time around on the heels of everything that I just said, when people are, discovering this week that it was a Tomahawk missile that blew up the school that killed 165 girls. You're seeing the story not go away, Danielle. Usually it was brushed off. This story is not going away. And then compounding that, what's happening? U.S. soldiers are dying. And now, Danielle, what's happening? I'm sorry to be cynical. As all of that has happened and is happening, you have this illegal war on the heels of Donald Trump's failed trade war. As a result of the trade war, what's happened? Inflation's gone up. Grocery prices have gone up. America's become what? More isolated. So now people are paying more for grocery. And as a result of this illegal, stupid war and Iran choking the Strait of Hormuz, guess what? Americans don't have an appetite, Danielle, for paying more for gas. In Florida yesterday, it went up to $5 a gallon. And what we're going to talk about, I think we have some slides, is now they're predicting volatility and uncertainty. And Danielle, let me remind everyone, if you're not that old, in 1973, when there was that oil crisis, you know why those OPEC countries did the embargo? Because the United States helped Israel, they said, in the Yom Kippur War. So that's when you saw those photos of miles-long lines at gas stations, right? Yes, it was resolved, Danielle, but the disruption lasted for decades. Do you know when the second disruption was?
What?
1979,
Oh, yeah.
Islamic
So
Revolution,
convenient.
1980s,
Yeah.
Iran-Iraq War. And so these dumbasses, even when we have historical precedents, they're like, you know what, Danielle? This time our crusade will work. How's it working, Danielle?
I mean, it's not. And I just want to say that right now, that the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the Pentagon is moving additional Marines and warships to the Middle East.
Yep.
The Pentagon is moving a Marine expeditionary unit and more warships to the Middle East, consisting of several warships and about 5,000 Marines. So they are getting ready to put boots on the actual ground. As Pete Hegseth says, that we are going to continue to show no mercy as the number of casualties, civilian casualties in Iran and in Lebanon skyrocket. Now they are willing to send what Pete Hegseth refers to as our warriors, not sons and daughters, not fathers and mothers and friends. No, send warriors into battle because this is a game for them. This is a video game where they get to move American bodies around, blow up a lot of targets, um not care
Nope.
how many. And then what they are hoping, and I just want to say this, what they are hoping, and then I'll play the clip of Lindsey Graham,
Lindsey Graham.
is that when Ellison takes over another, I mean, just massive amount of media, that there'll be no more questions about how many people, how many soldiers have been killed. There will be no coverage of it. There will be no dignified transfers that are televised. And that we can all pretend that everything that is coming out of the Pentagon is true. And the fact is, we've said this before. Here is the truth. I want you to listen once again to Lindsey Graham and the quiet part that is being said out loud about their reason for this war.
This is a religious war. Who wins it at the end of the day? Do the radical Islamic terrorists who want to kill all the Jews because God told them to? Who want to kill me because I'm an infidel? Who want to purify Islam, to reject moderation and make everybody a jihadist? This is a big deal. I'll deal with Section 230. So what we're facing right now is a moment of decision that will set the course of the future of the Mideast for 1,000 years.
There you go.
Gosh.
I mean, going back full circle, they're literally telling you the plot. And he's calling this a religious war. And as he's calling this a religious war, you have the Jewish supremacist government of Netanyahu openly using the word Amalek, right? You have Ben Gvir, Smotrich, and these others. They haven't hit it, folks. Literally, South Africa's case in the International Criminal Court accusing Israel of genocide was literally using their own quotes. I'm not making it up. That was like 95% of the evidence from like a year and a half ago. As this is happening, you have reports that there's commanders, right? Saying that this is a holy war, religious war, Christian war. As this is happening, now you got these Republicans openly demonizing Muslims. By the way, folks, it's Ramadan. By the way, folks, the world has not forgotten the genocide in Gaza. And we haven't forgotten the fact that it's Israel and the United States that have jointly done this war. That's according to both Israel and the United States. Can we just call out this piece of crap real quick? Because this guy's like just Jonathan Greenblatt right now is on the head of ADL, and he's now openly saying if you criticize the Jewish state for this Middle Eastern war, that's anti-Semitic. First of all,
fuck you. Like, in all honesty, fuck you. Like,
you're making anti-Semitism worse by using it as a cudgel to literally silence anyone with legitimate critiques of Israel and Zionism. You have used it as a cudgel to go after Jews, to go after Muslims, to go after Palestinians. You've used it as a cudgel to deprive us of our freedoms to actually boycott Israel, a nation state. And you've done such a terrible job that you've actually now completely watered it down. And so now people are like, I won't even listen to you when you actually talk about anti-Semitism, which is real. And furthermore, you've decided to use anti-Semitism to go after Democrats, liberals, Jews who are against the war, pro-Palestinian activists, yet you cozy up to Elon Musk, who did a double Zig Heil with his full chest, Danielle.
and look, I posted just what Ashley wrote in the comments. They say that about everything. The fact is that when you call everything anti-Semitic, then nothing becomes anti-Semitic. And that is the problem when anti-Semitism is actually on the rise, coupled with the rise of Islamophobia that is on the rise directed by our elected officials. Because you see, there's a difference that is happening here, and I want to be very clear about it. The Islamophobia that we are witnessing is coming directly from the Pentagon, from the president, and from Congress. That paints this complex, layered people, religion group with one broad brush. Meanwhile, I continue to say, and I actually don't care because I'm going to say the truth, is that the religion that is the biggest threat to the world right now is white evangelical Christian nationalism and Jewish supremacy. Those two things coupled up are how we are now 2 weeks into a war that is doing this across Lebanon. I'm sorry, somebody tell me how Lebanon got involved in this war, how this is what is happening in a suburb of Beirut.
They're folks, we have to talk about this for a second. This is the capital. Israel and the United States are bombing two capitals of two countries, Tehran, which has what, 10 million, and Beirut. Not only bombing, the displacement, Danielle, now they're saying up to 700,000 people have left. And now Israel is openly saying, well, you got to move at least a third of Lebanon, right? So Israel has now taken this opportunity to raise Lebanon. The numbers have gone up, folks. This is yesterday. More than 630 people, at least 91 of them children, have been killed in Lebanon in the past week. It hasn't gotten that much coverage. So I'm glad more and more people are talking about it. Over 700,000 people displaced. Why? Because Israel right now is being run by genocidal psychopaths. Ben Gvir, Smotrich, Netanyahu, right? They want it all, river to the sea. How do we know, Danielle? They literally tell us this, right? They want to completely destabilize Middle East. They want war-torn countries. They want Lebanon and Syria and Palestinians to be perpetually in like beggar modes, right? Why? Because they think that is preferable for their quote-unquote national security, right? They're perfectly fine. All right, go ahead. Have no electricity, have refugee status, have instability, political instability, a little bit of extremist instability. That's fine. We can control that. So it's type of controlled chaos. You're literally seeing Israel do it. You saw it do it with the Gaza. You're seeing it doing it in the West Bank. You're seeing it now with Iran. You're seeing it with Lebanon. And I'm sorry to say, our government is supporting Israel. All the reporting that has come out has said, New York Times, Washington Post, that Benjamin Netanyahu both flattered and dog-walked Donald Trump into this war. Yes, it was Donald Trump's choice, but he was pressured, bullied, and flattered by Lindsey Graham and Netanyahu, pro-Israel hawks, the right-wing Republican billionaires who fund AIPAC, which, by the way, gives money to Democrats, which they gladly accept, and these crusaders like Pete Hegseth and Mike Huckabee. Who is Mike Huckabee? He is a U.S. ambassador to Israel. Where is he right now? In Israel. Who's the biggest supporter of this Israeli genocidal government? Mike Huckabee. Not because they like Jews, because these white evangelical Christians, which I agree with you, white Christian nationalists are the biggest international threat, if you want to talk about religious threats. They believe Jews need to control Jerusalem for the second coming of Jesus. And then tell them what happens when Jesus comes back in their perverse narrative, Danielle.
The rapture, then everybody is killed and goes to heaven or whatever, like whatever
rapture,
the apocalypse. And so what they believe and what is being reported from whistleblowers inside of the military is that, as Waj said, those commanders are saying that this is a religious war, that they are creating the conditions for catastrophe to help the hand of God. That is how they see themselves. And so, folks, you have to understand, like, there are so many layers to this, but at the end of the day, all of it means the death and destruction of the entire Middle East, the death and destruction of the entire population of Muslims, all for the safety and security of Israel so that it can become a greater stake for
Let's
white
be honest about it,
evangelical.
Danielle. Let's be honest about it. Let's just be blunt. Let's just cut all the BS. You're right.
That's it. So that then you have the greater state of Israel. That is their ultimate goal. The white evangelical Christians want the return of Christ. So that's their ultimate goal. And then you have those that just want domination, oppression, and subservience, right? The oligarchs, and that's their goal, right? That all has to be wrapped around with the economy and oil and the extraction, et cetera, et cetera. This is the desire. And so I look at the fucking.
Can I just tell you some breaking news?
God, what?
Going so great. F1 cancels Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. A lot of rich people are going to be really pissed.
Oh, well, on top, I mean, here's a question somebody asked on social media, which was, Can you explain to me how FIFA plans to sanction the Iranian soccer team if they decide to boycott the World Cup? And I'm just like, you are still allowing the World Cup, which you, by the way, FIFA president gave Donald Trump some made up award of peace. You're going to sanction Iranian soccer players for not wanting to play after Donald Trump incites a war when you gave him some illegitimate Walmart fucking award of peace. And like it, and that we're still hosting the Olympics, still hosting the World Cup, and we killed children.
As we're bombing a country that will be represented in the World Cup, Iran, and furthermore, as let's not forget that how many countries are there? 150 of the 150 countries. This Trump administration a couple months ago said that we're going to restrict immigration from 70 of those countries. And as that's happening, we already are sending ICE out to terrorize people, and we actually have ICE just picking up random people who are legally here and putting them in concentration camps. Danielle, you and I talked about this. This was a couple of months ago in the summer, if you recall. We said if there was even a 5% chance, right? So suppose I'm with my family. Let's just pick a country. Let's say Germany. I don't know. All right. Suppose there was even a 5% chance, folks, that you tell me that due to the German politics at the time, I could be, I don't know, detained for 2 days if I was to leave my hotel without my passport, right? As a brown looking foreign citizen. Would you go to Germany if there was even a 5% chance that you or your girlfriend could be detained?
Sure would not. Sure would not. And here's the thing that I want to say. I don't know if you saw this video. Cuz this is I pray that it will play. This is a video that the Iranian embassy put out yesterday of Donald Trump, and the accuracy.
I have no issue with civilians.
Why did you attack the Manaf school?
Go on, lie, 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 lie. We didn't hit the Manaf school. America doesn't have Tomahawk missiles at all. We care deeply about the Iranian people.
Wow. Did you see the Lego movie they made last week?
Uh-huh. And then the Chinese put out a video, that one I don't have, of doves asking for protection. And oh my God, I have to see if I can find it before we close out today, because the doves are essentially the other Middle Eastern countries that, Qatar wanted to give a $400 million plane to Donald Trump, thinking that they'd get protection. MBS gave Jared Kushner $2 billion, thinking that that was enough to sweeten the deal. All of these, the UAE, all of these places have been willing to play, right? Pay for play with Donald Trump, with this regime, in thinking that, oh, we're not gonna get got, right? You'll go after Iran, you can go back after Iraq, that's fine. But us over here with our fancy hotels and our, 5-star living, like, we'll be okay. And basically China's video was just like, how's that working out for you now? How's that working out for you? Because guess what the United States is doing to protect you? Not a goddamn thing.
Nothing. And I think Danielle was just talking to someone yesterday. They're underwater on the economy. They're underwater on immigration. They're underwater on foreign policy. They're underwater on Epstein. The scandals are piling up. They see these special elections that are happening. They see the primaries. They see the polls. I think things are about to get far worse. Danielle, I'm not a cynic, people, but I'm one of those people who always said that, if you see a comet coming in the sky, my job is to tell you there's a comet coming in the sky, and then our job is to do our best to knock the comet out of the sky. I think they're stuck. They're stuck now in Iran. They're stuck in the Middle East. They're stuck with Gaza. They're stuck with the Epstein cover-up. They're stuck with the trade wars. They're stuck, Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see things get far worse, sadly. For not just our country, but the world. There's going to be far more volatility, far more instability, more and more extremism. I think this is the next 6 months until this mother effer dies or something like this happens, or unless the Democrats take the House, if we have free and fair elections. I don't see how you can just casually come out of this, because even if Donald Trump comes out and says, I won, I'm the boss, I'm the king, I'm the greatest, I defeated everyone, I won the war, it's over, Iran's not going to stop. What we've already seen with the escalation, right? With the economy, there's volatility. There's going to be more and more tit for tat. I think. I hope I'm wrong about this, folks. Tit for tat terrorist attacks, right? You're going to see lone wolves. You're going to see radicalized individuals. You're going to see asymmetrical warfare. And furthermore, with the economy is not going to settle down all of a sudden, right? We still have, like I said, this stupid trade war. And now with this crisis caused by this war, especially with oil, it might tip into recession. What do you think is going to happen, Danielle? Oh, yeah, we also have measles.
Oh, yeah, we also have measles. I just want to say this. This is yet another video. This was the one that I was talking. I had to look for it, of China mocking Donald Trump's shield of the Americas, right? Like, of, again, what Donald Trump is trying to do, divide up the world into, into parts for himself. China, Iran releasing these animated videos to show Americans like what's happening is actually really wild to me.
Oh no! Let me keep everyone safe.
Sounds great. Maybe not.
Now, there we go. Relax. Sometimes security comes with a little control.
Wow. Wow.
That dropped yesterday. Sometimes security comes with a little bit of control, right? That sounds like the Patriot Act. That sounds like mass surveillance. That sounds like all the ways in which this regime has connected with the technocrats in order to keep us all safe, which is to keep us all under lock and key. And you can apply it to what is happening here with ICE in Vermont. You notice how we're not talking about ICE right now because all we're talking about is Iran, right? Notice how, like, you're not really hearing about the Epstein files and the fact that the accountant was deposed this week on Capitol Hill, but all you're hearing about is Iran. And if Pete Hegseth gets his way, then all you'll hear is patriotic propaganda TV. And all of this is resulting in explosives, in attacks, because as what is coming out, we'll go back to the beginning. What is coming out is that, and again, this is what the news is telling us right now, that the Michigan synagogue, the person that attacked it, who is now dead, is Ayman Gazella, whose entire family, he had posted a picture on social media before the attack, was killed in Lebanon, in the Israeli-Lebanon strikes. These are his family members, brother, children, civilians in suburbs, gone. And again, underneath these posts, you're seeing things like, can you blame him? I mean, that unheard of. But this is what sitting senators are doing right now in this moment. This was posted yesterday by Senator Tommy Tuberville, a split screen image of the attack on the Twin Towers and Zoran Mamdani breaking fast. The enemy is inside the gates. How do you see these two things as the fucking same? You have got to be a sociopath. You have got to be insane. And that is what Islamophobia, what racism, like, it is a sick, cancerous disease.
Enemy is inside the gates is a Nazi slogan. Islamophobia is the last refuge of all bigots. Mehdi and I have always said this. I've been studying it for 15 years. What do I mean by that? You can be nakedly, shamelessly anti-Arab and or anti-Muslim without any consequences in America. Try it out, folks. You'll see. You could be, don't be anti-Semitic or anti-Black, but at least someone says, hey, now, don't do that, right? Tommy Tuberville, just about a month and a half ago, Ghazala Hashmi here is the first Pakistani Muslim American woman to become lieutenant governor of Virginia. All right, she takes the oath on the Quran, nothing new. Keith Ellison did it. So in that photo of her taking the oath, you know what Tommy Tuberville said? We've let the enemies inside. No one said anything. Now you're seeing Zoran Mamdani sitting on the floor, celebrating Ramadan with some young Muslims, right? Sitting on the floor, they're about to open their fast, and then they pray. They have that juxtaposed very deliberately next to the two towers brought down by 19 foreign hijackers. Translation, Zoran Mamdani is a terrorist. Translation, all Muslims are terrorists. The enemies are inside the gate, all right? Tommy Tuberville has been on a heater the past 2 days. All day today, he's been defending himself, right? To this day, folks, Republican leadership has not condemned him, Randy Fine, or Andy Ogles. Do we have what Randy Fine has said recently, or Andy? Well, this is Tuberville. Yeah, this is Tuberville yesterday. He's been saying it all day. I don't give a rip about being politically correct. Innocent Americans are being gunned down in the streets almost daily by radical Islamists whose religion teaches them it's righteous to kill Christians. I won't be silenced about this. You know what I responded to him? ISIS killed more people than radical Islamists this year. Are you for abolishing ICE? I got no response. Congressman Fine. 2 Muslim terrorist attacks today. 2 different states. Same name, Muhammad. Enough. Interestingly enough, Muhammad wasn't the name of the 1600 insurrectionists pardoned by Donald Trump. Muhammad's not the name of Jake Lang, the other insurrectionist pardoned by Donald Trump, who's pro-Nazi, who led the anti-Islam protest at Gracie Mansion, who, by the way, also, I don't know if you saw just an hour ago, tried to solicit a 15-year-old girl. They found out through social media. So that was him trying to hit on a 15-year-old girl. That Jake Lang, who, by the way, Representative Andy Ogles has defended. By the way, no person named Muhammad tried to kill Donald Trump. 3 assassination attempts. All 3 white men, former Trump voters. But they don't really mention that. And Randy Fine, by the way, that same person, openly said that mainstream Muslims should be executed. He said that a couple of months ago, Danielle. Can you tell us, was he censured?
No.
Did Schumer or Jeffrey say anything about that?
No.
So if you're not censured and you're a sitting elected official and you openly, with your full chest out, say mainstream Muslims, people like me, Mehdi, should be executed, and then you turn around and say, oh my, nothing happened to me. This is awesome.
So what do you think that you will do next?
I'll be Andy Ogles.
Escalate.
I'll be Tommy Tuberville. I'll double down during Ramadan as the United States and Israel are literally killing civilians after they killed Ayatollah Khomeini. I'll get my wargasm. I'll get my heart on. I'll try to bring on the crusade, because guess what, folks? There has been no censure. Some breaking news, Danielle, is not the Democratic leadership. Finally, I'm telling you all, this has been happening for weeks and months. Finally, today, we just found out, Axios came out with this about 2 hours ago. Democrats are moving to censure Randy Fine and Andy Ogles for a series of anti-Muslim posts. But guess what? It hasn't come from Schumer or Jeffries. It's Representative Shri Thanedar, and it's also Representative Yasmin Ansari and a few others. They're moving to do it now. And furthermore, to let you know, Republicans to this day have not in any way, shape, or form criticized Representative Andy Ogles, Andy Ogles, Fine, and Tuberville. To this day, Danielle.
And this is their king. This is the religion they love. The religion of grift, the religion of lies, the religion of pedophiles. This is who they are. It is so sick. It is so vile. They make a mockery of God. When you're laying hands on this criminal and telling us that he is an imperfect tool of God, whose God? What God? The God of grift? The God of pedophiles.
The
Because
God of
that
white supremacy.
the God of white supremacy. Because I mean, it is so sickening to me. And again, I will say, if you want to talk about a religion that is a danger to the globe, it is white evangelical Christian nationalists. They are the threat and have always been the threat. And now we're locked arm in arm with the sociopathic right-wing faction state of Israel to try and bomb their way to what? Rapture. It is insanity. It is absolute insanity. This is what is happening inside of the House of Representatives. The Sharia Free American Caucus. Do you know what I'd like? The Project 2025 Free America Caucus. You know what I'd like? The White Evangelical Christian Free America Caucus, where everyone gets to, oh, I don't know, exist free without oppression and discrimination. You know, kind of what the founders had in mind, even though when they wrote the Constitution, they were owning slaves. That would be nice. Grown to 50 members. This is who these people are.
And folks, this is nothing new. I spent so much of my life debunking this. This is 2010 to 2014 stuff. We've been through this. Do you still have the appetite for this BS? Did it make your lives better? Did it make America safer? Did it make America more beloved? Did it help you with your grocery prices? Did it help you afford your insurance? It's all a reboot. They're old, fat, a slovenly, OD'd Elvis just basically lumbering around Las Vegas. It's not even Elvis, because Elvis was good. Just think about like this old, broken lounge singer. They've got nothing left. So now what they're doing is pouring gasoline on the fire. And I just want to let you all know, folks, this is not lost on people. I just want to repeat this. The United States and Israel killed Iran's supreme leader. For many Shia Muslims, he is their religious leader, religious guide. They killed him and some of his family members during Ramadan. They are killing civilians in Gaza, in Lebanon, and right now in Tehran during Ramadan. As they're doing it, Lindsey Graham is openly calling it a religious war, openly saying Americans should die. This is a good war. We should send more Americans to die for this war to protect Israel. Also, as this is happening, you are hearing some reports of commanders calling this like a crusade or a holy war. As this is happening, you know, there's Pete Hegseth, a white Christian nationalist who has pro-crusader tattoos all over his body. As this is happening, you have Randy Fine and Representative Ogles and Tommy Tuberville going out of their way saying Muslims don't belong here. I want to remind you all, the number one most successful recruitment propaganda for ISIS and Al-Qaeda after the war on terror was this: the West is at war with Islam. The West hates Islam. See, look what they're doing to Muslims. See, look at the Patriot Act. See, look at the Islamophobia. See, join us. You won't have a home in the West. They hate you. Danielle, what do you think will happen if this increases, this type of rhetoric?
I mean, it's just going to be more attacks, more terror threats, more ones that become successful. And it's going to, again, fuel their desire to have mass incarceration of Black and brown people, right? That they're going to they're going to use this to go after the entire Muslim community in the United States, right? I mean, this is where this is headed. And then anybody else who is sympathizing with what is happening in Gaza, in Iran, in Lebanon, all of a sudden becomes a domestic terrorist. Who did we hear that language from? Kristi Noem, when talking about who? Renee Nicole Good, Alex Preddy. They create the conditions for terror, knowing that there will absolutely be backlash. And then their goal is to escalate the surveillance, escalate the incarceration and the pain on American citizens that they believe do not belong. That's where this is headed.
That's right.
On top of which, we are also witnessing the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. We're also witnessing Donald Trump provide loosening of sanctions for Russia. So Russia gets to win-win. Russia supplies intelligence to Iran. Russia is supplying not only intelligence, but also equipment, weapons to Iran. And then Trump says, ooh, here, don't help them. I'll help you. And Putin's like, I can have it both ways because you're a
Literally,
fucking idiot.
Danielle.
Because
Literally.
you're a fucking idiot. So
So
you can release the sanctions. I'll make the money, but I'm still going to be supplying my boys over here because I don't trust you.
that was last night, folks. For those someone's like, what? Yep, last night, Donald Trump decided to ease off the sanctions off Russian oil. You're going to increase Russian oil production.
look.
Russia's economy is going to single-handedly rebound. It'll help Putin. It'll help him then also with his expansionist efforts with his illegal war in Ukraine. And by easing the sanctions off of Russia, by the way, and increasing oil production, guess what? It's a genius move. It doesn't even reduce the price of your oil at home. So what does it do? Exactly as Danielle said, it only helps Putin, who, by the way, literally, in addition to giving intelligence to Iran, the type of intelligence that they're giving Iran, what we found out this week, they're giving U.S. targets to Iran. And Donald Trump says, I have two daddies, Putin and Netanyahu. I can't say no to them. So here you go, Putin. Look at that.
Russia is now making an extra $150 million per day from its oil sales amid rising prices due to the Iran war. The Russian government is set to receive up to $5 billion in extra revenue by the end of March. You think it's treason? I think it's treason. And again, how is this all happening? The U.S. is expanding relief of Russian oil. And, it is, it's like I'm coming to a loss of words. And here is the Besant. U.S. Treasuries providing a temporary authorization to permit countries to purchase Russian oil currently stranded at sea. This narrowly tailored short-term measure applies only to oil already in transit and will not provide significant financial benefit to Russia. What? I just told you that by the end of the month, they'll be $5 billion richer. And we know, again, this war is not ending anytime soon. And just, again, what do they all have in common? Predatory sexual behavior. Israeli military says it's dropping charges against 5 soldiers who were accused of sexually abusing a Palestinian detainee. Does that sound familiar? Because who's also sexually abusing detainees? Oh, all of ICE.
And CBP. And what does it say about Israeli society? That, folks, I don't know if you follow that story. It's so disgusting. Those people were partially caught on tape. And they decided then to drop the charges. And then there was another video I was going to send to Danielle, but I didn't want to overload her, where one of the alleged suspects was then introduced on a popular Israeli TV show. They applauded him. They applauded him, Danielle.
Mm-hmm. And then
80%, and I know people, we got to be blunt, 80% of Israeli society supports this war. Just like they might hate Netanyahu, but a majority of them support what's happening in Gaza. I've been to Israel 3 times. When I went, I think 10 years ago, I was already like, wow, man, this society's gone right wing. Now they've gone fully right wing. And so when people say, oh, no, Israeli society isn't like this, I'm sorry. No, a majority of this society is perfectly fine with this war, with what's happening with Gaza. And then I have to ask you, Danielle, yet again, Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader for Democrats, how do you justify his comments last month when he openly said, one of my main goals as Senate Minority Leader is to make sure Israel gets all the aid?
Look, I'll say this. I really appreciated your interview yesterday with Qasim. And why did I love it? And everyone should go and watch it. Waj had two of my favorites, Qasim and Jared, on back to back. And I was like, just so neck deep in the comments watching both of those interviews. And what Qasim said was, we need to start talking about Israel in economic terms, which is, how is it that their society is able to thrive with free healthcare, free education, right? All of what sounds like socialism with our money. And yet the United States, the American people get absolutely nothing. And what would it look like that instead of sending our money, billions upon billions of welfare funds to Israel to prop up their society and make life better for their people, and then add to the destruction of another people's, what would it look like if those resources actually stayed inside of the United States and weren't sent to the Pentagon, but actually to create free healthcare here, proper education here, create the society, right, that they boast about, the democracy of the Middle East. And I thought that I thought everything that he said was so on point, so fantastic. And it is the pivot that is necessary in this conversation that moves it outside of the religiosity of the thing and brings it to the reality of the economics of the thing.
And I think it's already working. People do not have an appetite for this war. Like I said before, this is, if you're younger than Danielle and me, Danielle could be 85, she could be 35. We don't know. But if you're younger than me, you might not recall the fact that a war used to be very popular. We love bombing brown people in America, and the public generally supports it. The fact that there's 70% of people who are against this war from the start, the fact that it just came out yesterday, in the first 6 days of this war, the United States already spent $12 billion. Now, going back to it, Americans have an appetite for killing brown and black people. You know what we don't have an appetite for? Paying a lot for gas. Gas prices have gone up. I just want to read what economist Justin Wolfers just said. He just showed a graph. He said oil prices aren't expected to fall anytime soon. Future markets suggest oil prices are very likely to be high during the midterms. Okay. I just wanted you to know, in the past hour, Donald Trump on a phone was with Brian Kilmeade on Fox. Brian Kilmeade said, "When are you going to know when the war is over?" Wait for his answer. This is this dumbass's answer. "When I feel it in my bones." Pete Hegseth just lied to the public and said Iran's leadership desperate and hiding. They've gone underground.
Underground.
That's what rats do. Iran just released a video of the Iranian president calmly walking through the streets of Tehran with no security escort.
Yeah. Yeah. And before
literally, Danielle, he's literally just walking. They got one camera on him.
Yeah, I saw the video.
Yeah.
I saw the video.
Oh, can I give you another piece of news? Just because things are going so great. The EPA has moved to weaken limits on a cancer-causing gas. The gas plays a crucial role in sterilizing medical devices, but long-term exposure is linked to several types of cancer and other ailments. The EPA under Donald Trump has moved to weaken limits on this cancer-causing gas. So, yay, cancer.
Yay, cancer.
Well done, America. Do you feel great again?
I feel so great. And before we get out of here, give us 4 more minutes, because this is important. All of these things, it is a polycrisis that we are dealing with. Multiple crises layered on top of one another, all connected in a deeper, darker web. The Epstein syndicate is busy at work. I don't know who works harder, the devil or the Epstein syndicate, maybe because they're one and the same. Here is the CEO of Palantir, Alex Karp, who is normally hyped up on whatever type of fucking drugs he takes, whose company builds surveillance and defense technology for the U.S. government. If you have been following what has happened with the United States versus Anthropic, and versus these different AI companies who are saying, you can't use our software for mass surveillance of the American people. You can't use our software for unmanned weaponry that is done through AI. And of course, OpenAI, Sam Altman slide right in and say, well, if Anthropic ain't going to do it, we'll do it. So now you have the CEO of Palantir, Alex Karp, saying the quiet part out fucking loud on a
Yep.
Megatron.
Yep.
On a Megatron. And I want you all to hear it. Because I think that before the end of the day, this is something that is important for folks to understand what is underway.
Has to support the warfighter. The one thing, though, that I think even now is underestimated by all actors in industry, and including in Silicon Valley, is how disruptive these technologies are. If you are going to disrupt the economic and therefore political power significantly of one party space, highly educated, often female voters who vote mostly Democrat, and military and working class people who do not feel supported, and you feel like you believe that that's going to work out politically, you're in an insane asylum. Like, that you cannot have it. This technology disrupts humanity's trained, largely Democratic voters, and makes their economic power less, and increases the economic power of vocationally trained, working class, often male voters, and so these disruptions are going to disrupt every aspect of our society. And to make this work, we have to come to an agreement of what it is we're going to do with the technology. How are we going to explain to people who are likely going to have less good and less interesting jobs from their perspective? And how is it that we are going, and by the way, on the military thing, these technologies are dangerous societally. The only justification you could possibly have would be that if we don't do it, our adversaries and will do it, and we will be subject to their rule of law. So if you decouple this from the support of the military, you're going to have an enormous problem explaining to the American people, why is it that we're absorbing the risk of disrupting the very fabric of our society, including the most powerful parts of our society, if it's not because it's about maintaining our ability to be American in the near term and long term. And
yeah, so
You heard him.
that's
Hey,
you can't say that you didn't hear it
hey,
from
hey,
the horse's mouth.
you need us because we're going to weaken women, 51% of the population. Women, I believe, vote mostly Democratic. We'll lower deliberately their economic status. We'll help white men who vote for Trump, even though it won't. AI will screw them because it'll come for factory jobs. And oh, by the way, it's totally militarized. And it's good that it's militarized because you want us to have the big effing gun so we can kill our neighbors because they're the bad guys, because that's how we'll have hegemony. It's working out so well. Look at Iran, look at Gaza. And furthermore, I know, folks, you might think I'm a broken record. I'm sorry. Facts are the facts. Alex Karp was in part radicalized by Israel. He proudly supports Israel. He proudly gives Israel Palantir technology, which has been used to terrorize Palestinians. He justifies it as the war of the West against everyone else. Voila.
This is where we are. We bring this news to you because it is important to connect the dots. It's important to understand these systems and how they're operating like concentric circles on top of one another, all in the name of subjugation and oppression for the elevation of a greedy, sociopathic, white evangelical, white Jewish supremacist class of people that believe that everyone else is a pawn. whether it is to usher in the rapture, whether it is to usher in nation states that are deregulated from whatever AI wants to do, whatever the Alex Karps and the Sam Altmans and the Peter Thiels want to do. And it's always connected back to this larger Epstein syndicate, folks. Like that's the there. That's the there of this.
They're all part of the same club. They're all part of the same club. And I know people don't like hearing it. It's the billionaires. It's all these people in AI. It's these people in crypto. It's these people in surveillance. Speaking about Palantir, we have Epstein literally on audio telling the former prime minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, to invest in Palantir, literally telling him to talk to Peter Thiel. We know that Israel supplied Epstein with the surveillance camera that he used to get this blackmail on all these folks. These people are all part of the same network that want to destabilize the world, undo the post-World War II order, and live a life without any accountability and restraint and oversight. And we just found out yesterday, thanks to Bloomberg, that as a result of a majority of Americans, especially a majority of Californians, like I think it was a 2-1, they want to tax the billionaires. Right on cue, Bloomberg said that in addition to the $100 million that Joe Lonsdale of Palantir and these other freaks have spent on these PACs in ahead of the 2026 elections, guess how much money these freaks are putting into California alone, Danielle?
100 million?
Nope. Go up.
Oh, 200 million?
Up.
$1 billion?
$500 million. Check out Bloomberg yesterday. $500 million. California. So they're going to give money to who, Danielle? Democrats. Pro-growth, anti-regulation. What does that mean? Pro-Palantir, pro-AI, pro-crypto. They're giving this money to Democrats, which is why again and again and again, I think Danielle and I will probably have to say this every week. Pay attention to the Democrats who are pro-AI crypto. Pay attention to the Democrats who refuse to criticize Palantir. Pay attention to the Democrats who refuse to tax the billionaires. And now you'll know who's getting money from the super PACs.
It's been a week. It has been a week. I really hope all of you take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Because
Well, let me ask you, we'll end on a good note.
Yeah.
Oscar predictions. Best picture.
Oh, you know
Predictions.
what? I don't ever watch, honestly.
I don't watch either.
But I'm rooting for Sinners. I'm rooting for Sinners. That's who I'm rooting for. So
I think Sinners takes Best Picture. I think Paul Thomas Anderson barely takes Best Director. I think Michael Jordan wins Best Actor. I'll be very happy if Delroy Lindo wins Best Supporting Actor. I think Sinners wins Best Casting. I think Ryan Coogler wins Best Adapted Screenplay. I think Best Original Screenplay probably goes to Paul Thomas Anderson. I think the whole momentum has shifted, and I do think my favorite movies of the year were Sinners and One Battle After Another, but I do think in this moment, if Sinners and Coogler are on that stage as much as possible, it'll be good for America.
It'll be good for America. It'll be good for my spirit. I know that. Before we get out of here, folks, I just want to, again, Waj, you promote yourself, promote us. Thank the super stickers and super thanks. Julie, Jimmy, thank you so much. Zoe, Ernst, as always, Real Talk, as always, Susan, our fantastic moderator, and Janine, thank you so much. This is independent media. We do, this work that is people powered, not attached to any corporations, for a reason. And so please continue to support, like, comment, and subscribe. It costs you nothing. But if you have the ability to become a paid subscriber, do consider becoming a paid subscriber of Waj's Left Hook. He's running a forever special. Become a subscriber of the Damn Digest, both on Substack. But if you can't, just like, comment, and subscribe. You will miss nothing.
What's your link? What's your link for your special?
Oh, my special. The link is here. Hold. The link is here. DanielleMoodie.substack.com/damn sale. That is for 20% off. And Waj, I need to write yours up, but you tell me.
The lefthook.substack.com/special.
The Left Hook Substack.com/what?
Special.
Okay.
Oh, my lineup today, someone asked real quick. I'm an idiot. I'm fasting. I'm really tired. I haven't slept, but I decided to go every hour for 6 hours. So did MS Now with Anna Cabrera, talked to some David Drucker, both sides, mother effer. I put him in his place, made me feel good. Talked to Danielle just now at 1:30, talking to Olivia Troy, national
Okay.
security expert who left the Trump administration. She's great. She's going to break down why we're kind of effed. 2:30, Brian Karam of our Nerd Avengers has me on his show. 3:30, David Rothkopf is coming on, formerly of the Biden administration, who's since been radicalized into becoming a progressive. And at 4:30, Ellie Leonard will tell you the latest of the Epstein, Operation Epstein Fury. There's a lot of Epstein stuff. I try Danielle at least twice a week to keep it in the news. So Ellie's one of the best in the business. She's gone through as many of the documents as possible, because two things can be true at the same time, Danielle. Yes, this is a war where we're dog walked by white Christian nationalists in the military industrial complex and Netanyahu, and it's a distraction from the Epstein crisis.
100%. All right, folks. We will see you back on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Head over to the Left Hook now, and
13 minutes.
And 15 minutes and watch Waj from start to finish. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and please, oh please, don't be a fascist.